I think it'd be helpful to hear an example to kind of walk us through, so we can put the picture together in our minds of how this actually came about. Is there a project example you can share?
Well, my problem most of the time is that many clients I'm working with today are under NDA.
Yeah, sure.
So there is a very limited number of companies I can share. One is Saab Aeronautics. They are based in Lidköping, Sweden. We visited the factory where they build the JAS 39 Griffin, that is a last generation jet fighter, and they use Scrum across all the organization. They published an interesting case study with the Scrum Inc., and I had the privilege to visit that factory with Joe Justice, and we have seen how they work. One element I can bring to somebody who is listening us now is the obsessive modularity in the product that allows to have multiple teams to work independently. So the principles here are called contract first design, so that when you start designing a product, you start from modules, and the modules you define the interface first, and you define the interface bigger than what you need from day one, so that you reduce the risk to refactor the interface. And then you have the capability to have multiple teams iterating at the same time, working different modules without interfering with each other. This is a way to speed up the time to market, because you can scale horizontally with multiple teams.
Yeah. And an analogy there and see if it works or not. When we're developing a project, so this is just project management discipline now talking about, one of the key elements we put together in the beginning is the work breakdown structure. It's that functional decomposition of the work, just to get our hands around what we have to get done. So this example is building a jet fighter, right? So I love the example because this is a serious example, right? That this is high risk, high stakes, big project, huge complexity. And we're using Scrum for hardware on it. So that's an example that says Scrum for hardware works lots of places if it works there. And this notion of breaking down that project in terms of modules, what are the modules that go into to combine together, make the critical systems of a jet fighter?
The biggest takeaway, because there is a risk. Because mechanical engineer will tell you, we always had modularity, no? Sure. Components, we also always had modularity. It's not new.
That adds to our ability to maintain them, fix them.
Very little nuance that make the difference here is that when you define a module is not a component. A module is a convention, an arbitrary part of the product that fulfill one or more needs internal business. So when you have imagine you have a product backlog and you pull one user story, you want that user story to go is only on one module. Because if you have a user stories that goes on multiple modules, means that the team that works in that user story needs to take ownership of that modules for that sprint. And this is limiting the number of teams that can work without interfering with each other. So the way you shape the module, it's more a convention. It's more a definition. It's like a contract between teams. The modules is not really there, because if you look at the module, it's composed by many components that then you can have also sub-modules. Why it's just one? Because you do the work with the business, try to anticipate what will need to change. And so with this kind of view, of course, having a framework like Scrum makes things happen, because you have the product owner that normally has a very business view with a development team that has a very technical view, working day to day together. And so they can start with initial modularity of the product, and when they see there are some new needs, they can refactor the division in modules so that the development can go faster. Right. Or what happens when you have to break an interface? You just stop the line, like in the old Toyota way.
Yeah, right.
And you call all the teams working on the different modules, relying on the same interface. You change the interface, and then you start working again. So modularity, for what I learned, is not really how you ship the product. It's a process that leaves the freedom to a single team to work on some part of the product and describe clearly what happens if this team needs to do something that goes outside this freedom.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. We're basically drawing a boundary box, a scope of what a team is addressing. That's their module, well-defined, related to one user story, to really give independence to the teams so they can move forward. So this helps us with the scale issue. And then you have integration activities that are coordinating the work together, and probably redundancy in components and how to deal with that redundancy and the like.
Yeah. On the other hand, if you do very small modules, then it may be very hard to manage. So you have to struggle between having two big modules that will not fulfill the need, or too little that are hard to manage. Right. So I would say 7.
Yeah, the constraint there is the size of the team, right? You need a Scrum size team. So I'm picturing in my mind this is like 6 to 8 people. Is that the scale you're at?
Yes, normally between 5 and 7. According to Scrum Guide, less than 9, but 9 members tend to be a slow team already, because coordination requires a lot of effort at that point.
Okay.
So yeah, and also the number of the modules in a product tend to be a small number like that. So the ideal is 7 plus 2 minus 2. So because it's the number of information that your brain can remember independently without chunking.
Yep. And
so you understand, a very big product like an airplane having only 9 modules, it's challenging, no? But that's the what I always say. Doing Scrum for hardware in a very, very good way today, it's a competitive advantage. So it can be easy, it can be cheap, it can be obvious, it can be common sense. It needs to require some effort and some creativity, and that's the funny part, I think.
Yeah, a lot of this is breaking down the really big problem into smaller problems where we have some flexibility to experiment, as we do with Scrum. So we're headed the right path. Okay, so many more details we could get into. That's what your book is for, Scrum for Hardware. So we'll, anyone that's interested in learning more about this, we'll point them towards that resource. Right there it is for anyone watching the video, Scrum for Hardware. Excellent. As listeners know, I love innovation quotes. What do you have for us, and tell us why you chose that one?
It's not really an innovation quote. For me, it's a more a life motto. It's do what you love and love what you do. I think that if you want to develop innovation in your product, the first ingredient you need is passion. And I recommend follow your passion, because you will never work a single day if you work in something you are passionate about.
It is a great idea. And we all know the realities of every day we have some work probably that we don't want to do, even for things we're really passionate about. But absolutely, I wake up every morning loving to help product managers and enable them and equip them and hopefully inspire them some. And that drives me. And you're right. If you do what you love, that drives you and you get better at it because that's driving you. So thank you for sharing that quote for us. How can people find out more about the work that you do, get in touch with you if they wish to, and certainly get their hands on your book?
So, well, my website, paolo.sammicheli.li. So just my name and surname with dots.
Okay. And listeners, I'll make sure all the links are in the show notes to make it easy to find these.
Thank you. And my LinkedIn page, I normally publish my article on LinkedIn. So feel free to reach me out on LinkedIn and follow me there. And my book is available, the electronic version on leanpub.com.
Okay.
So that it's still an agile publishing method. So if you buy there, you will receive free updates forever. I think I'm going to add a couple of use case and success story in November this year, October, November, just because I have an NDA that is going to be opening. And the paper version of my book is on Amazon worldwide.
Okay. Great. So LeanPub for the electronic version, and that gets updated, and then paperback on Amazon. And I will track down all of the links. Yeah. Again,
if you buy the paper version, in the last page there is a free code to download also the electronic version. So free updates for everybody that buy the book, regardless if paper or electronic.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the insights. This is a topic that's come up many times. How do we add agility to our hardware part of our business if we're manufacturing anything? And your insights for Scrum for Hardware, really important to us. Thanks so much for joining and talking about these ideas.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Have a nice day.